More than 50% of Elden Ring players haven't completed the necessary steps to access the Shadow of the Erdtree DLC, which is kind of crazy since the DLC is poised to be one of the biggest releases of 2024. If you're like me and completed a single casual playthrough of Elden Ring when it came out in 2021, but missed a fair amount of side content, you might not be able to access the new DLC content once you start it up right away. So here's everything you need to know about how to access the Shadow of the Erdtree DLC as a more casual fan of Elden Ring. There are two main bosses you need to kill in order to get to the DLC area. The first is Starscourge Radahn, a boss with a name that I find very hard to pronounce. Starscourge. It's like, I think like, I might have like the slightest little lisp, and so Starscourge, like right next to each other, it's hard, it doesn't matter. He's the main boss you fight in Caelid, and a semi-required boss if you want to finish the game. If I had to guess, I'd say that most people who finished Elden Ring have beaten Radahn. So if you, like me, beat the game back when it came out, you've likely already completed the fight. If you're not sure if you beat Radahn, look on your map for the site of grace on the eastmost side of Caelid named Starscourge Radahn. If it's there, you beat him. If not, start the Festival of Radahn by heading to Redmane Castle in the southeast corner of Caelid and take him down. The next boss you need to beat is Mohg the Omen, a boss that only 37% of players have beaten. He's an optional boss for the main game, and he's tucked away underground behind a small quest, so I completely missed him up until now. To access the fight, you'll need to get to Mohgwyn Palace, which is easier said than done. There are two ways to get there. You can either follow the White Mask Vare quest line, which is a little involved, or you can use one of the teleporters in the consecrated snowfield. Because I hadn't started the White Mask quest in my casual playthrough, I figured that the easiest thing to do would be to get to the consecrated snowfield and use the teleporter. I'd also recommend this method to people who haven't played the game in a while, because it'll have you do a fair amount of combat to help you get back in the swing of things. I know I was pretty rusty since I hadn't played since 2021.
Well, that makes sense, honestly.
To get to the snowfield, you need the two halves of the Erdtree secret medallion. In my playthrough, I had one half of the medallion, the left side that I got from defeating the boss in Castle Sol, Commander Niall. If you don't have that, head to Castle Sol, the castle in the northmost area of the mountaintops of the Giants, fight your way through it, and then fight the boss at the end. Be warned, Commander Niall is pretty tough, but hey, you're playing Elden Ring, so it's all gonna be tough. The left side of the medallion is on the opposite side of the map and is being stowed away by an NPC named Albus, who's found in the village of the Albinarics in the caves on the southwest side of Liurnia. To find Albus, head into the caves through the swamps and follow the path up the cliffs into the village. At the site of grace, head east and follow the path until you find a pot that's suspiciously illuminated. Hit it with an attack and the pot will transform into Albus. Talk with him and he'll trust you with the second half of the medallion. With both pieces of the medallion in hand, head to the Grand Lift of Rold, the giant elevator that you took to get to the mountaintops of the Giants using the Rold medallion earlier in the game. Walk up to the lift as usual, but instead of hitting the button prompt to hoist medallion, you'll notice that you can now switch actions by hitting left or right on the D-pad. Do that and the prompt will switch to hoist the secret medallion. Hit the button on screen and you'll take out your newly collected Erdtree medallion and be taken to the consecrated snowfield. Once you're there, head to the west side of the area and find the teleporter. Before you go, it's not a bad idea to check out this area a little bit. There's plenty of stuff to find and a lot of runes to be had from taking out the larger enemies here. That said, you can definitely run past almost everything and just make a beeline for the teleporter if you're in a hurry. Once you've touched the teleporter, you'll end up in the outskirts of Mohgwyn Palace.
Oh yeah. This game is so good. Oh, this game is so good.
Mohg is at the top of the palace you can see in the distance. Just like with the consecrated snowfield, there's a lot to be found in this area if you're interested in exploring, or you can just run straight past everything to the base of the palace on Torrent. It's your call. Once you're at the base of the palace, it's a pretty linear run to the top to find Mohg.
Well. If it ain't the easiest boss fight in this whole damn game.
Mohg the Omen is a pretty tricky fight.
Well, I hope he doesn't attack 100 times in a row without giving any sort of break. That would be a little too intense for some folks trying to get to play the new DLC for this game, right? I mean, like,
But it's made easier if you have the Purifying Crystal tier mixed into your Flask of Wondrous Physic to offset his Blood Curse and nullify the Nihil attack almost completely. This isn't a Mohg boss guide.
like, I'm sorry. I'm sorry that I called you an easy boss, okay? I don't know what I'm to do about this when you do this little move. I apologize.
But that's what helped me. Oh, and use the Mimic tier. There are so many people who say like, oh, you didn't really beat the game if you use Spirit Summons, but have you considered that I simply do not care? If you're struggling with the boss, use the Mimic tier. There's no shame in it. That's what I did, and I had a great time. Once Mohg is dead and you have the DLC purchased and downloaded, all you need to do is interact with the Hand of Mikola at the far end of the boss arena, and you'll be taken to the Land of Shadows to start the DLC. So that's all you need to know about how to access the Shadow of the Erdtree DLC in Elden Ring. Like and subscribe. Good luck out there, Tarnished.